Hello and welcome to the Racers HQ podcast. I'm your host, Matt Murphy, and joining me on the line tonight is my co-host, Pat Mulry. Pat, how are you doing tonight, sir?
I am doing wonderful.
Wonderful. And are you sipping on anything fantastic tonight?
No, tonight, yes, but it's just iced tea. It's nothing very
Iced tea.
spectacular. Yes. Barely
Um,
intoxicating at all, and maybe only if you don't, consume a gallon of caffeine every morning already.
Yeah, you need to really slam a lot of iced tea to. Yeah. Very
Right,
nice.
and maybe only if you've never had anything caffeinated before in your life. I don't know.
Yeah, and he's the star of a Dick Wolf television series as well. So a very diverse topic.
That's right. I saw something that I guess NBC or whoever they're owned by now
Mhm.
is actually starting an all Dick Wolf streaming channel, which sounds like it's a setup for a joke, but it's really true. It's going to be all Law and Order,
Yeah,
and one of the other, I think one of the other franchises, but then not maybe SVU, but not Criminal Intent and not something else, and
Hmm.
I don't know,
I'm
and
here for it.
only some seasons, but yeah, I mean, you imagine. I thought that was called USA Network, but apparently there's something else.
Yeah, I thought I watched that show all the time or that network all the time back in the aughts. But yeah, quick take on that. This is a bit of a tangent, but I can see that need. So I've got the Samsung Frame TV. And every time I turn it on, it just comes on to like whatever Samsung channel I was on before. And
Right.
I found a magical thing called the F1 channel that just like randomly plays F1 races. And it's kind of like
Oh,
a fun, like name that tune when you turn your TV on to be like, that's Dubai 2017 or something, right? So that's fun. But yeah, I could see that. I mean, I would totally just like randomly watch in the middle of, some SVU for sure.
yeah.
So anyway, it's
SVU never really did it for me. I liked Criminal Intent. When I don't know, was did they ever do Criminal Intent not with Vincent D'Onofrio? But when he was on it, I really liked Criminal Intent.
Oh, that guy's a rock star. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was
we're
good.
already way down the tangent. So
That's right. I mean, that really sets the tone for tonight's episode of
yeah,
the Racers HQ podcast. It's just going to be sort of tangent upon tangent, and at some point, it might intersect with racing again
yeah.
along the way to
Good
something
luck.
else.
Good luck. Stay tuned. So I'm just having a little vodka soda to wet my palate. But
Wet your beak.
wet my beak. But
Which
I gotta tell
vodka?
you, man, this is a new one. Garden Party. It's a local one. They make a really good gin.
Yeah.
So we bought their vodka just to have a matchy, liquor cabinet. But gin's good in that way that gin should have a taste. Vodka shouldn't have a taste. Has a taste. Meh.
Mm,
Sure he's up. But
that is problematic for a vodka.
yeah. So I don't think
But
it's not.
go ahead.
It's just not martini material.
We're out of practice, like stepping on each other a little bit. We'll get back to it.
We got there.
Well, I can get
Um,
us a racing adjunct to that
Talk to me.
vodka note. You know, others probably do as well. You may recall the name James May from such shows as Top Gear and the Grand Tour and building a giant Lego house out of Legos that you could actually live in. And he has his own brand of gin called James Gin. And apparently they're exporting it to the US now.
Okay.
But I haven't ever tried it. Have you? I can tell almost by the look on your face that you not only have you never tried it, you haven't even heard of it.
Nope. Not heard of it. Not tried it.
Yeah. Well, I'd be interested when if I ever happen upon a bottle. They're like several different. I'm going to call them flavors, but it's probably mostly tasting notes, right, on gin. But like one of them is turnip, maybe, and then there's one that's like yellow mustard.
Okay.
So I suspect those are, like very faint, additional notes in the gin. And it's not like drinking, mustard flavored gin. Really, I would
Sure.
hope
It's
not.
like fresh can of tennis balls.
Right? Yeah.
That one. Yeah, that
Yeah.
always got me with the wine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good. Speaking of wine and culinary things, it's a culinary corner. Badoop boop, badoop boop boop.
We need a sounder for that.
I I've been on one. So we've been making a lot of Chinese braised chicken, and that's a big hit at the house.
Yeah.
And I sorted out some pretty good mapo tofu as well. I like my Szechuan food. So I'm hosting a Szechuan dinner party at Eureka Springs next month, and one of my promised dishes is Szechuan braised pork belly. So
So, what makes a Szechuan braise or a Chinese braise different from something else?
yeah, so the main thing is like so you're gonna probably stir fry your meats for a second, and then you're going to deglaze that with some Shaoxing wine, and then you're gonna hit it with your dark and light soy sauce, probably some star anise, some rock sugar or brown sugar, garlic, ginger. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the general recipe, and it creates this goop that is just and then you just cook that for like a couple hours, right, with the lid on,
Okay.
and it makes this goop that is just amazing, right? This kind of sauce, and everything breaks down, and it's got a lot of collagen in it and fat and everything, and it's just a lovely dish, right? With some chicken thighs, chicken legs is how we've normally done this, but wanted to try it with pork belly, and that's super yummy. So tried it once at the house, got very bad reviews. Probably the worst tasting notes
Really?
I've ever received at the house.
From yourself
That's
or from your lovely bride?
no, for my lovely bride, my muse.
Yes.
I tried to stomach through it, but it was not good myself. I just didn't want to admit to it. But I agree, it was not good. Maybe it was a bad cut of meat, but I also just don't think I was using all the techniques. So tonight, the reason I was late for the pod is because I went to the local Chinese restaurant and had their version. Pretty good. And I've watched copious amounts of YouTube channels on this, but it's really about getting this thing caramelized. You don't even like
Yeah.
fry. You don't even so you blanch the pork because you need and the pro tip is to blanch it with some ginger and scallions in there so that it you like gives it a little bit of flavor out the gate. But then you like caramelize this thing. You don't even like stir fry it in oil. You do water, rock salt, toss these pork belly chunks in that mixture and caramelize them, then hit it with all those liquids and braise it for like 2 hours. And it boils back down to like a goopy, sugary
Yeah.
soy sauce kind of flavor. Um, so yeah, trying to hit that mark. But you gotta really, pro tip, you don't just go into a dinner party cold and make some dish you've never made before. That is a recipe for failure. And you gotta nail that before you
That's right.
expose it to the universe.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
yeah.
That's not. I don't think I've ever had any success like bringing a new dish to
I was
a
just gonna
dinner
try
party.
this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not. Yeah, maybe if you were Emerald, you could pull that off.
Yeah,
But
if you're on
then
like a
again, like
challenge
what is
TV show.
Emerald not? Yeah, what is he not cooked already like 1,000 times? Like,
Yeah. So anyway, that's my culinary corner, but let's move on. Thanks for listening. Pat, I want to hear all about Road America, but before that, let's talk garage talk a little bit because it's,
garage
most
updates.
of
Yeah.
our existence. So tell me about you.
Well, so I've been in the process of assembling what was the backup engine for the BMW, and now will be the engine for the BMW after the ignominious failure of the prior engine at Hallett earlier this year,
Hmm.
which is still so raw for me because that thing ran so great for 4 or 5 hours and then just
Yep.
started overheating. And um, I've pulled apart the old engine. I don't know, looking at like the head gasket doesn't look like it's busted. um I haven't, like, taken the head to have it x-rayed and see if there's a crack in it somewhere, which is what would make more sense. There was clearly water getting into the number one cylinder because after I pulled the head on it, I could see rust in the bore only in number one.
Okay.
So water was getting in there somehow. I mean, we know, like, we didn't pull this thing off the track like, oh, it's just the radiator cap. Like, it wasn't just,
Right.
we were getting water in there. And so we did the right thing stopping when we did and not, turning a semi-working engine into, carnage. Because that would have happened. Once you're getting water in the bores, you're going to wind up with it in the oil. I was telling somebody about this, like describing how this process works to someone that rode America over the weekend. Was that last weekend? 2 weekends ago. They were like, how does, like, why does a head gasket mean you have to turn the car off? And it's like, well, that's a pretty good question. In fact, some of our listeners may not understand that process. So I'll just go through it.
Why does that matter?
Yeah. So obviously our internal combustion engines rely on oil as a lubricant because they're hot and metal moving parts in very close proximity to each other need that oil to keep them lubricated. If it's not there, if it's not lubricating, those hot parts will friction weld as they move. And that's when you get things really happening rapidly, destroying themselves when, a connecting rod, for example, friction welds to to the crankshaft, and that's when you like blow a hole out the side of the block, right?
Right.
And one of the main ways that oil becomes less lubricating than you want it to be, there's a better term for that than less lubricating, but I'm just going to stick with that, is because you water down the oil. You could also do it with gasoline, but that's more unusual. And so if you have a blown head gasket or some other means of getting water in the oil, but that's the primary one, you're watering down your oil. The oil stops being as slippery, and eventually you weld something together. So, on the BMW, we have an overflow hose that points to the windshield, so that if you're overheating that engine, it starts spitting the overflow water, which normally you just direct out the bottom of the car on a normal car. But we have it. That's an old NASCAR trick, is to have the overflow pointing at the windshield, because you can't avoid that when you're driving down the track and the car's spitting fluid on the windshield. So I still don't know why, but it did. So got that pulled apart and have the new engine. The only thing I haven't gotten off of it yet is the dampener, the crank pulley off of the nose of it, because you got to get that off to get the timing chain off, and all of that business. And I need that hydraulic dampener on the new engine. So
Gotcha.
I actually bought a new puller for that that arrived today. And then in order to make the new puller work, I needed to buy another wrench that I don't own, because I don't have a 1 1/16 wrench.
Yeah,
which is
that's a weird one.
what drives the nut, right? It's like it's either 1 1/16 or a 27 millimeter would work. Well, I have a 27 millimeter wrench. That's a weird size too. So I don't have an adjustable wrench big enough to really crank it. So, but yeah, in the process of getting that, I've got the new head gasket on. Of course, the new engine. We decked the block, we decked the head. So it should be, good clean surfaces for both of those. Got the head gasket on it, put the head on the block. Haven't tightened it down or anything, because I got to run the timing chains and all of that business. So it's just on there for kind of keeping it clean purposes, all in a bag. But I was hoping to get that done until the crank pulley thing kind of threw me off on Sunday. I was hoping to get it all done, final reassembly, and then test the piston to valve clearance through the good old modeling clay method. But didn't get to that. So we're going down to Austin on Saturday for Parents Weekend with Caroline, and then back on Sunday. So maybe I'll get to work on a little bit more on Sunday. If not, it'll be next weekend. And then hopefully it's ready to, go back in and get all back together. We're having a BHOD weekend on October 4th and 5th. Our friend Ben is coming into
Wow,
town.
nice little beehod, nice.
Yeah, so
Shout out to Ben.
help us clear up a couple of the um, kind of weird electrical issues we saw at Hallett, like with the radio button not working, and like I think it was mostly the steering wheel buttons weren't working, but the battery in them was working. So there's something somewhere that's gotten, knocked loose.
Radio buttons are just strangely fragile. Like even my
Yeah.
wired one failed, and that's the second failure. I'm like,
Yeah.
weird. You had
I wonder
you
how
had
much it has to do with the fact that the wire in them is usually about the thickness of a hair.
oh, and it's getting wrapped around crap all the time.
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah, it gets abused. I feel like you had a lesson learned maybe for the dear listener on
I
engine
do have a
building.
lesson learned. Thank you for bringing that up. I will once again humiliate myself publicly, which really is all racing is about for us. I think at the end, like it's moments of hoped for glory that no one else will ever notice, and then otherwise just public humiliation. So here's a little more for that.
Yeah.
One of the things that you have to do when you're building the engine is you have to put the piston rings on the pistons, right? And I was accomplishing that, and I dropped one of the second ring. So on our pistons, there's a top ring, there's a second ring, and then there's like two super thin oil rings with a expander in the middle or something like that. I think that's kind of a typical setup for most pistons. And I had the oil rings on, and I was putting the second ring on the number one piston, and it slipped out of my hand as I was like, getting ready to put it in there and everything. And we'd already gapped them all; it was ready to go, and dropped it and on the floor. And I went to pick it up, and right as I was like stepping to pick it up, someone opened the back door to the garage, and so like I turned to see like if the dog was going to come running out or something like that, and stepped on the piston ring on a crack in the floor and broke the piston ring.
Oh.
Yeah, just like crack. I was like, seriously? Did I looked down, and it's just like the one piston ring is now in two pieces. Like I'm like, well, I can't use that. Like, so had to order another one.
Do they sell the individual piston ring?
No, they don't, but they do sell them by the cylinder. So
Sure.
you don't have to buy like a full set for the entire motor. You can get just a set for one cylinder. So one top ring, one middle ring, and then one set of oil rings. So now I've got a spare top ring and a spare set of oil rings for a M52 BMW engine.
Mostly, yeah.
So,
nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well,
so don't step on piston rings.
No step on piston ring.
No. It probably wouldn't be good just to step on it and not break it, because then it's like scuffed, and those are like super high precision things. Like it's kind of amazing. I mean, that whole technology is pretty amazing.
Yeah. I remember when I built my Miata motor and you were like, did you gap the piston rings? And I was like, YOLO. And that thing was solid, and somebody sent it to like 16,000 RPMs, and then it wasn't, but yeah. So
YOLO. Yeah, and that was funny when I got the new. So the second ring on the BMW engine is supposed to be like I may be getting a zero wrong. Like 0.017 inches is the gap. Like it's really small, right? And so you have to creep up on it as you're filing it. But from the factory, it's like at about like 1,000, maybe it's 17 thousandths. Maybe that's what it is. And from the factory in that board, it's like at 1. Like this would break almost immediately.
I got you.
Which then causes all sorts of havoc, like having a broken piston ring, scraping the crap out of your cylinder wall, and creating more metal, right? More metally bits in your engine, which are also bad. It's mostly, it seems like there's mostly bad things, right? Yeah, mostly bad things that can happen in an engine. It's amazing that they ever run.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's fun. And
Yeah,
targeting Houston race November.
that's the goal. That's
Nice.
still the goal. Um, unless something comes up that prevents us from being able to go. But I think if I can get that engine done, next, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after that, then we can get it back in the car and should be good to go.
Nice. Well, very good. Well, I'm excited for that, and excited for the
I
team to
probably
go
I
to the
probably
next
should tell
event.
Eric. Hey, Eric, if you're listening, maybe let me know if October 4 or 5 works for you.
Yeah.
We do that same weekend that Ben's here. I'd really like to get it in before that, but I don't know. Maybe there's time. Today the 17th. No, probably not.
No time. Well, very good. Well, that's exciting. I've been able to get my car race ready, and this is like, insert like announcement trumpet sample, right? Dun dun dun
We got
dun.
to get a soundboard for this thing.
You gotta get a soundboard, but like, and this is what I love is having a goal. So I was trying to take the car to a car show on Friday, and this last Friday, and so with that goal in mind, I got the car aligned on the ground, wrapped. I rewrapped my new fender. Uh, all the fluids have been.
Does it have speed lines? Speed
No,
wrinkles?
the
What do you call
door
them?
has speed. Oh yeah, speed wrinkles. Oh yeah, for sure. Um, I've got. Yeah, the car runs and drives. It's awesome. I ran out of give a craps at about 5 o'clock on Friday, um, thinking I was going to have to spend another hour towing the car like 5 blocks to put it in a car show. So I bailed on being in the car show, but I think it's always good to have a goal of like, car is presentable, right? I think
Yeah,
um, Roland Roland has this approach lately with his Z. It's like if you're gonna change something, change it, get it fixed, get the car back to running state, then go do the next thing. Like don't get into
right,
that weird, never-ending loop of while I'm in there as best as possible. Right? There's a balance
right.
clearly, but
Yep.
so yeah, that car's on the
Yeah,
ground. I had a.
we all understand single variable analysis. It's a great idea.
It's a great idea. Yeah, we don't have the wherewithal usually.
Or the
I did have
patience.
a I did have a final like issue that I wanted to bring up and really brought together the community to help out. But after changing out, so after switching to E85, I was clearly having a little bit of like fuel pressure issues. So the thing you do after switching to E85 is you clean out your fuel system, right? So I cleaned out the fuel filter, got a big Deshworks fuel filter, replaced the fuel sock on the Miata on the pickup. Thing was looking really good, but the fuel pressure gauge on the rail was reading like infinity fuel pressure, and that scared me. I was googling like what happens if I have infinity fuel pressure. That doesn't sound good. And then I get in there, and I first time I've actually had
It's no
to.
problem until you're a flaming ball in the sky.
Right. And so then I go in and I adjust my Deechworks fuel pressure regulator, and I've got that thing pulled out all the way to the point that I actually like pulled the screw out on accident,
Right. Yeah.
and I could only get it down to like 80 psi, and I'm like, that's still way too high. The spec, by the way, is 52 psi for the injectors
Okay.
and most injectors. So I was like, that's annoying, yada yada yada. And so I'm asking my buddies. I submitted a ticket with Deechworks. I asked our former co-host Mark,
Right.
like, what's the situation here? What could be the problem? And I hate to always blame it on the sensor. I've tried to do that before and it doesn't fix it. But
Right.
in this case, yeah,
Bad gas.
foreshadowing. Right. That's what it was, right? So like I I ordered another fuel pressure gauge, and because Mark told me he's like those are jank, and especially if they're sitting on a fuel rail on a K24 spinning at like 8,000 RPMs, like that thing's taking some abuse
Yeah.
right there on your fuel rail. And so he's like, some people actually remotely relocate them with like a hose or something,
Yep.
or you just go digital or whatever. Apparently the digital ones are a little bit more resilient. So luckily Deechworks has them just in stock. So I drove down there and bought one and put it on the car. And sure enough, like immediately reads at 0, whereas the other one I had was reading at like 50 from the get. So I was like, this seems promising. And then, you know, turn it on, it's reading at like 40 because I had, adjusted the regulator out to nothing.
Yeah.
Bring it back in, right in the pocket, 52, car runs like a top. So,
Awesome.
yeah, it was a fuel pressure gauge. Those things are fragile. It was my second one to replace as well. So, pieces of crap, probably. And so then I immediately got on Autosport Labs and ordered their recommended, you know, pressure sensor, 5-volt pressure sensor.
Yeah.
So, it's got some sort of weird pigtail. They've got the new format for their analog
Yeah.
sensor crap. I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
have that, so I guess I'll just splice it and make it work. But
Yeah.
yeah, so excited, but yeah, car's running good. But that was my garage. The end.
That's
Um,
great. We run on Miku. I've got the oil pressure sender remote for that same reason. Because everything I've read over the years is like, yeah, pressure. You don't want pressure centers actually on the engine because it just vibrates the crap out of them. Then they don't work anymore.
yeah, that makes sense. And I've got my oil pressure sensor
Hmm.
stuck on the bulkhead with remote
Yeah.
line to it. So yeah, why not do the fuel the same way? So good point. But yeah, so targeting the 1010 race, NASA at Crescent, got registered, got my hotel room. There's a new hotel directly across the street from Crescent. We'll find out if it's
Really?
good. But yeah, it's called like the Scottish Inn. Seems sus. I'll let you know. Watch out for that 1012 pod where I give you the full review of the Scottish Inn.
Are the prices very thrifty?
If you book it through Scottish Inn, they are. If you try to book it through Expedia, it was like 180, and I was really considering driving the 30 minutes to the track for
Yeah, no kidding.
saving myself $150, but I didn't. I got it direct for 110, which seems reasonable.
I was watching
Jeez.
in a tangent to
And
your story, continuing the theme of tangency. Somehow there was a video that popped up on my YouTube the other day about the use of the descriptor Scotch in the middle of the early and middle 20th century, like Scotch tape. Like it has nothing to do with Scotland, right? It's an invention of the Minnesota mining and materials company, and but it's because like you didn't have to use very much of it, which means you were thrifty like a Scot. So like there were lots of Scotch things referred to as Scotch because it meant thrifty or cheap,
oh, nice.
like a
Just
Scotsman.
like the Salt Bay of racism. Just a
Yeah,
sprinkle.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
But
You're not
I mean,
you're not the first whitey. You're the poor one that came over later.
right. But you're not Irish. I mean, let's not go too far.
Yeah.
You're at least Scotch.
Yeah.
As
Right.
an Irish descendant, I can say that. I can say that to you as an Irish descendant.
I've told you, we brought this up before, but I'm a 1%er. I'm only 1% Irish.
But it's the last name. It's the most important 1%.
Yeah. All right. Well, I feel like we're getting real dicey now. All of a
You're
sudden.
you're a 1%er in so many regards, not just your Irishness.
Uh-huh. I have grown out a wicked mullet. Probably another 1% thing. But anyway, I digress.
Okay.
Well, let's get to the meat.
The digression.
Let's get to the meat of the story. You went to Road America, a legendary track in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, for the
It is.
24 hours of lemons, and it's so glorious that the lemons gets like allows us to go participate in these things, that they embrace us, and it's just so cool. But it's also a very epic track. So you and Todd were there actually, another
That's right. That's
former
right.
Racer of the Year for Racers HQ podcast,
That's
a
right.
glorious honor,
Friend of the
and
pod.
friend of the pod. And so I think that's a good thing for you to report out on. Please, Pat, fill our pod with content and tell us all about the 24-hour lemons at Road America.
Okay, so Todd and I flew up together from Dallas to Milwaukee a week ago last Thursday for the what is it? The Sausage Fest, I think is the name of that race. And Todd was driving with an Oklahoma-based team, no, Nebraska-based team, in a Chevy Blazer. I think at one of the Hallett races, they were like an Oklahoma schooner theme on it, and I didn't remember it. In fact, that might have been the race that I wasn't at, the Hallett race I missed. But it was just Todd and the car owner. It's normally the car owner and his brother that raced that one, but his brother couldn't make it. So it was, and then Todd also drove on the Rambler, which was making its grand return. I flew up to, there was a team that with an E36 actually, they had someone that was kind of a late cancel. And so they reached out to me, said they had a seat and would I like to come up? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Since, it's a platform that I know pretty well. They had a different motor in it, but, than ours. But, I've actually, as it turns out, I realized once I got up there that I actually had driven that car, under prior ownership, probably 4 or 5 years ago at Barber. Things did not go optimally for my team. They actually had 2 E36s there. One of them ran quite well for most of the weekend, but it was a newer car, not newer in the sense that, like, they're all old. They had just bought it, I guess is what I mean. It was new to them. And it had been previously raced, I don't know if in Lemons, but in Chump Car.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one that I was going to be driving in, it had some problems right off the trailer. Apparently, you can, on this motor that they had in it, you can either have the water pump. They make them for clockwise and anti-clockwise operation, and they needed it going one way, but the one they had was going the other way. So they had to change that out, which then meant they had to change out the bracket for the power steering pump because the bolt pattern was different on the other one. And so then there was a bunch of fabrication that went on for that to get that thing working. Basically what ended up happening was on Friday, all of those shenanigans ate up most of the day on Friday. I think the car got out, for a little bit of test and tune on Friday, but I didn't get in it. But so then,
sorry, can we back up to that? Was that like root cause? Did they just get the wrong replacement part, thought they were good, took it to the track? Or like, is this like I guess I don't understand, like, how do you get to Road America with a backwards water pump?
Yeah. So, they had bought that motor from someone else and had installed it, and had actually tested it on track, but not for too long, I would guess, because it didn't overheat. And then they realized, like, it was overheat. Then they realized, well, it's not cooling down the way that it should. And then they were like, oh, look, we've got the wrong water pump on it. I think it has to do with, like, the belt routing, if you have AC on it or you don't have AC on it or something like that.
I guess I can see that. Okay.
Yeah. So, so then but then Friday night, it drove to, so, one of the cool things that they do at Road America, like they do at CMP, is they do a parade of the race cars from the track to the kind of road around Siebkens, the Siebkens Hotel, which is sort of a famous old resort with a bar. It was famous. It's been famous among road racers for a long time because that's where, all the racers would like convene after racing back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. So there's lots of old pictures and memorabilia and parts and stuff like that. The bar is pretty neat. Yeah. And so there's a parade. So we drove the car. I didn't, but the car was driven to that because that's where they do all the BS judging is in that part of the street. And so that is really neat. Everybody who's racing is there, and then people from the town come just to check this out and see it all. And so it was pretty cool. Walk around, got to hang out with a lot of people, former show guests, including Neil Losey and Chris Blizzard. And I don't think we've ever had Anton on the show, have we?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So maybe future guest of the show, Anton. And talked with them a pretty fair bit, and some other folks, and I know from here and there. And then the car went back to the track. So I thought we probably were going to be okay. And but it wasn't. We went out Saturday morning. Came right back in. Or was that on Friday in testing? I don't know. It's kind of been a blur. The car, I think, was on track for less than half an hour in the race. And I mean, it came in however long it was out there, and it might have been 30 minutes, it might have been 45 minutes. It came in, and he's like, I think it's making a noise, and like starts it up, and immediately it's like, no, turn that off. Like, I'm standing right by the passenger fender, and I'm like, that's a blown motor.
Okay.
You know the sound of it when you hear it, right? And and then like, well, maybe it's that, like, with the way they had that engine configured on that car, the exhaust that is really kind of a tortured configuration to get it to work with that engine in that car. And so there were things bouncing against each other that probably shouldn't really be bouncing against each other. Because there had to be the use of some exhaust flex pipe in places to make it twist and fit. And I think they've got, like, this is probably a good tech tip for anyone who's made it this far in the show. Like, solid mounts for engines are probably not a great idea, because, you need that vibration control somewhere. And if you don't have it there, things are going to vibrate loose somewhere else. And in this case, it was like, this isn't what caused the problem, but ultimately, like, there was, the one of the exhaust flanges, like the exhaust pipe, the bolts had all worked their way off, and there was at least 3/8 of an inch between the two sides of the flange, which complicated troubleshooting a little bit, because it was, are you hearing a rod bouncing off the side of the block? Or are you just hearing that loud exhaust right there that's completely, open right at the firewall? As it turns out, it was still a rod.
Foreshadowing.
Right. Spoiler alert. It was a rod. Or it was something. I don't know, because we didn't tear the engine down. But we did find a hole in the side of the oil pan. That it wasn't, it wasn't that big, right? It was a little bit bigger. Like, it was a big enough scar that you probably would need stitches, but stitches would put it back together if it was a person. Like, they had one of those, if it was a cast oil pan, it wouldn't have helped. The cast pan would have just cracked and broken. Instead, it was like a sheet metal oil pan, which is popular. And I think it got hit by, I'm guessing, a broken rod in there somewhere, because then we did have a bore scope, and I don't think I've ever actually used a bore scope in an engine while it's turning before. But once we identified which cylinder had the broken oil pan part, we were like, well, it's probably that cylinder. And so put the bore scope down, took the spark plug out, put the bore scope in there, turned off the fuel pump, obviously. Another tech tip. Pro tip: don't have your fuel pump running while you're cranking the engine, even if the exhaust is off, because you're going to wind up getting a face full of fuel. And but put the bore scope down in there, and then backed it like all the way out, like as far so that if the piston comes up, it's not going to hit the bore scope, right, and cause other problems. And Then they go to crank the engine and the piston's not moving at all. I'm like, well, I think we've identified the problem. We have a disconnect in this part here somewhere, right? So then
The
Saturday,
crank bone is not connected to the piston bone.
that's right. That's right. There's a spinny bit here and not a vertically movie bit there.
Yeah.
And so then two of the guys went, well, someone had found a replacement engine on Facebook Marketplace, like an hour from the track, right? From model of car similar to the one that this engine had come from. And so they went to check it out. Did I mention it was on Facebook Marketplace? I think I did. And they went to check it out, and turns out the engine in its condition where it was not actually as advertised on Facebook Marketplace.
What?
I know. I'm sorry if that comes as a big shock to all of our listeners that sometimes things on Facebook Marketplace may not be what they're portrayed to be, but that was the case here. Call Mark Zuckerberg if you have his number and let him know this tragedy. Like apparently it was missing a connecting rod bolt because the prior owner had needed it for something else. And then so then they took the other bolt off of that just to well, while we're here, let's see what this bearing looks like. And it's, this engine was only driven 60,000 miles by a grandmother to church. And he's like, it probably barely, got warm most of the time. That actually may have been the truth because apparently that bearing was down to copper. And so he was like, yeah, this is not an engine we're going to, pull and put in a race car for any period of time. So, so that was kind of it for that car. By, lunchtime on Saturday, we held out a little hope until we could. And then there was apparently another engine that was a possibility, but it was 3.5 hours away. And it was yeah, nobody's going to go do that at 4:00 in the afternoon on Saturday. So the other car ran, I think, pretty well. The other BMW that we were supporting ran pretty well. And the owner of that car offered me a ride for Sunday, but the problem was I couldn't take it. And the reason I couldn't take it, I would have loved to, was they have a halo seat in that car, and they have it not on sliders. They have it fixed. And the other guys that are in that car are, for the most part, except maybe all of them, shorter than me, definitely less luxury sized than yours truly. And I have pretty broad shoulders. I mean, I'm overweight too, but the big problem here was not the gut. It was my shoulders were too wide. And I tried to get in the car on Saturday night and not even with a helmet on. Yeah, I couldn't fit my shoulders between the halo on the seat and the A-pillar bar. Right. And I'm like, I could, and it was going to be real tight when I was sitting in there too. I mean, I could tell already, forward, back with my feet to the pedals and all that. But, I probably would have suffered through that if I could have gotten in. I'm like, I can't fit my shoulders in this car. I don't even have my helmet on, but I can't even get my shoulders in. It's an E36.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But the seat was fixed pretty far forward. And, it's I can't get my shoulders in here, and I'm not even wearing a helmet. But we all know, you can jam your hand into someplace it shouldn't really fit, right? The problem is getting your hand out later.
Fair.
And I'm thinking, I could probably force myself into this situation, but if I find myself upside down on fire, I'll be very motivated to get out. I just may not be able to.
Pat,
so
do you think that was an empty offer? Hear me out.
Not at all.
No.
I'll hear you out.
My favorite trick. I mean, it's just my favorite trick in the world is to offer somebody something that I know they can't take, so that I look like the good guy, and still don't have to deliver on my offer.
Yeah. Give me a practical example. Put some meat on those bones.
Well, hey, do you want me to? I'm doing a terrible job right now, Pat. I'm sorry. You put me on point. I should have had an example ready. going at go. Hey, do you want me to just buy those shoes for you? So you don't have to. And then no, 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 no. I'll just, I'll buy the shoes when I can afford to buy the shoes, kind of thing. And yeah, okay, well, your loss.
Whatever you want, honey. I was ready.
I was here for it,
No, I
and
get it.
then yeah, it resolves and like a shared disappointment, which
Right.
all negotiations should. But
You sound like you've been hanging out with lawyers too much.
yeah. But anyway, you say it wasn't an empty offer. It just happened to be that that wasn't the right size.
No, no, it was
Yeah,
not an empty offer. All it was actually very very considerate of him, because he felt really badly that
sure.
myself and one of the other guys weren't able to run at all. And the other guy was the same reason as me, basically.
Yeah.
He's about my same size, or maybe a little bit taller, a little bit shorter, about the same size.
Yep.
And so yeah, so didn't went all the way up to Road America. Didn't get a single minute on track, unfortunately.
What a
Um,
shame.
yeah, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, I'm obviously bummed, to have not gotten to drive, because it is one of my, if not my favorite track that I've driven on. But the weather really was lovely. It was
Mhm.
quite beautiful all weekend. It was down in the mid 40s, coming from Dallas, right? Where that weekend, I think it was, 100, close to 100 in Dallas. It was like, overnight in the mid 40s. The highs were like in the mid 60s.
Yeah.
Um, it was, the leaves had not yet started turning, which surprised me a little bit. But like the weather was great, and I met a whole bunch of new people and made some new friends, and overall had a good time. Except for not getting to drive, but like went down to Canada Corner on Sunday morning after the races started with a couple of them, and just kind of sat there and watched the cars, and um, just chatted, and like that was really cool to do, and see the cars just hauling it in there. I'm thinking, man, as fast as the Lemons cars are coming in here, I can't even imagine like IndyCar and like what it must be sitting there for IndyCar, or like IMSA when the um, the what is it, LMDH cars, the prototype cars come just just have to be coming down there crazy fast, and then just scrubbing all that speed to make it.
Yeah.
It was fun to sit there and watch. And it turns out one of my new friends, she didn't know that our car is the Miku car,
Okay.
and but she is familiar with it, and like um so it was funny, like talking, she's like, how did that become a car? So then told her the long and inebriated story of how we got a Miku car,
Right.
and why we can't not have a Miku car. um so it was good. I mean, overall, it was a fun weekend. Got to consume a few beers,
Hmm.
and have a few bratwurst and some other regional delicacies. Um, those fried cheese curds, they've got something there. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
anyone's aware of that, but they got something there.
Pretty good.
Uh, yeah, pretty good, pretty
Pretty
good.
good. What's the best source for a fried cheese curd? Because we've actually had some fast food fried cheese curds trying to retrieve like a drive axle out, or no,
Oh
something
yeah, that was a Culver's, wasn't it?
like
Culver's
that.
are pretty good. I had some good cheese curds at Culver's. Todd and I ate at a bar on Thursday night. So there's a town just south of the track called Plymouth. Um, I'll tell you, I'll give you a fun Plymouth story after this. Um, but is it called the City Club, which sounds much more upscale than it was. It was a nice bar, but it wasn't like, make sure you're having a collared shirt and your monocle is in place. It was a Wisconsin bar, um, but it had great cheese curds, fried cheese curds.
There you go.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could screw them up, like if they got cold or soggy, or like the fry oil was bad and was given an off taste to it. But I think it'd be pretty hard to screw up. Other than that, cheese
Fried
curds.
cheese.
Yeah,
It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah. We stayed at, thanks to Todd, who had made the hotel reservations, at the Plymouth Inn, which has been recently renovated. And we get there, and there's no staff, and there's just a sign that says, "We run this hotel like an Airbnb.
Is
You
it an
should have gotten."
OYO?
No, it's not. But
Oh.
but I'll get to that. Is that because I think that's their model too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So it was like
And
you should have
Todd's
gotten.
favorite, by the way. Shout out Todd.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, but I don't think he was expecting that at this one because it was like you should have gotten a code. He didn't have a code, so then he's calling the number and getting different people, and eventually gets the code to the room. Like literally hours later. Like fortunately, we had tried to stop and drop off our stuff on the way to the track, so it wasn't like we were just sitting in the lobby for 3 hours. And the bathroom. So they renovated it. And I don't know, like, I wonder if the person who was making selections for their renovation had ever stayed in a hotel before,
Mm.
because like the bathroom sink, I'll have to send you a picture of it because I took a picture of it because it was so funny. Maybe we can post it in the show notes or something like that. It was like it was brass and black marble,
Mhm.
and the sink itself was brass, but it was like a kitchen sink, but small. Like it was deep, and
Mhm.
it had like one of those racks at the bottom of it that you can stand plates up on.
Mhm.
And yeah, and then the faucet itself was like a shrunk down version of the kind that come out that have the spring on them, like
Mhm.
like the industrial,
Mhm.
like you have in a restaurant kitchen, right,
Like a
to spray
sprayer.
off
Yeah.
the plates before they go in the sanitizer.
Mhm.
Um, it was like that, only it was only 12 inches tall,
Hmm.
but so it made it really difficult to like shave or brush your teeth or
Mhm.
anything like that. The sink didn't have any stopper on it. It was
Mhm.
it was just so weird. It was just, why is this here?
Uncanny Valley.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it really was.
Mm.
It really was. That said, it was nice. It was clean. I don't think it'll hold up, like the materials that they selected for this renovation. I don't think they'll hold up for 12 or 18 months of even sporadic use.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it like I said, it was clean and it was nice enough. And thank you, Todd, um, for the hotel room. And because otherwise, as it turns out, I was going to be sleeping in the trailer at the track, which I'm just not a big fan of anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
You
so
got it at its best.
that's
The
right.
old Plymouth Hotel.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
2 thumbs up for Plymouth generally. Other than the other thing that was kind of strange about Plymouth is like the most of the restaurants are bars, which is fine. But then the kitchen closes at like 8 or 8:30. Bar's still open, but the kitchen's closed. And when we're like doing racy things, like an 8 o'clock dinner is not exactly a late dinner for us sometimes if we're trying to
Right.
fix stuff or whatever, making parts runs. And so on, when was that? Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, I guess. Yeah, Saturday night, we went into a bar, um, and like at 8:05, and tried to order, and the bartender was like, "Yeah, restaurant kitchen closed 5 minutes ago. Sorry."
Yeah.
Like 8 o'clock on a Saturday night.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a
They
little
just
bit.
hate money.
Yeah, so we went to the place next door and ordered there instead. Which was, oh no, that must have been on Thursday. Was that on Thursday night? Saturday night. There was the night that the NFL game was on YouTube instead of
Hmm.
someplace else, and so they didn't have the football game on in the bar. They had like the U.S. Open tennis and baseball, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Weird.
weird to be out in a bar on a night where the NFL is playing and not have the NFL on the TV.
They don't have internet in Plymouth. Yeah.
They did in Plymouth, but maybe not in this bar. They didn't
Yeah.
have the right subscription. I don't know.
No, that's and just a quick hot take on early closings, but as a former professional, grill master, you don't want to go to a bar or restaurant at the last 30 to 45 minutes because they're taking a lot of liberties with the process at that point. They've already
Yeah.
cleaned the grill. They've already cleaned up the kitchen. You might get a deep fried hamburger or a microwaved, turkey melt. Just saying, you know, nothing's going back on that grill.
Yeah. Once that girl's cleaned, you're done.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, anyway.
Well, I think that's good advice. I just would have expected that advice to take place at like 7:15 on a Saturday night.
Yeah, that's a little extreme, guys.
I mean, anywhere in America.
All right. Well, it's a good recap. Todd got to drive cars, I guess.
Todd
Rambler,
did so.
IoT, or
Yeah, they ended up
IO.
the Blazer. They were chasing an oil pressure problem, not oil, fuel pressure problem all day on Saturday, and I don't remember what the oh yeah, I do remember what the fix was. It turns out like I don't remember. Was it Aaron? I think that might be right. Is the owner of that car, and he was chasing it, and he was doing all sorts of stuff with the fuel pump and trying to get it working better and all that. But it kept throwing a code, and then it'd go into um,
Limp.
yeah, into limp mode. And apparently he gets on like one of the forums or something, and or talks to somebody, and they're like, "Well, what if you just pull the like the fuel tank pressure wire?" Because I guess that's what was throwing it off was the fuel tank pressure, something like that. Like, what if you just pull that wire?
Mm.
Oh, okay, let's try that. Once they did that, it was all okay.
Gotcha.
So it was like a completely mostly false problem that it was having anyway that was shutting them down. So then they got to run on Sunday, and I think I don't remember if Todd drove the Ramble on Saturday or Sunday, but got to drive that too. Yeah, that one
IOE.
IOE.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think he had a good weekend in terms of being in the car and all of that, and I had a good weekend. Like I said, the weather was great. I made some new friends and had fun with them. It just didn't work out so well on the racing side of things. But sometimes that's just how it goes. It seems like for me that's been more how it goes lately than it is, and I'd really like to get back out on the racetrack.
Well, yeah, but we're pros and we understand that this is the norm. So, well, thanks for that recap. I think that's I mean, that sounds beautiful. I can totally understand car not working, hanging out with your buddies on Canada Corner and just soaking it in because it's just a beautiful track. And
Oh man,
we
yeah,
always
we
say
went
it's,
around
yeah.
on Sunday. We drove around on the golf cart to different parts of the track that I
Cool.
hadn't
Nice.
seen from the outside of Carousel and the outside of the Kink and what is it turn 5? Of course, I'd been there before, but it was like there's almost no part of that track that you can't get to from the outside to watch something going on. Like they've really got it figured out there.
That's cool. Nice.
So I am going to cross my fingers. I know I want to do it this year and schedules didn't work out, but double hard cross my fingers that I can get our car up there next year and run that race because it'd be so fun in our car.
Well, maybe that's primary goal. Why destroy car elsewhere? I mean,
Well, because Hallett.
Because Hallett. Sorry, but it's a good track. It's a good time.
It is.
Cool. Well, I think we should probably wrap this. I thought this was a good pod, Mulry. Any other hot takes from Road America?
Hot takes from Road America. They're I'm going to talk the state of Wisconsin down a little bit here. Their speed limits are lower than they need to be.
There you go.
On their rural highways.
There you go.
That's something I guess I've gotten accustomed to here in the wild west of Texas. Like pretty wide open Wisconsin, and it's like trucking along at 55 miles an hour. It's like,
ew.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is this? Are we in Model Ts?
Literally, I can't drive 55.
Completely. So, state of Wisconsin, we love your beer, your brats, and your cheese curds, but you need to get together with the speed limit issue.
Take it to the track, Mulry. All right. Well, yeah.
Street racer.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that recap. Always good to have us back on the pod. Let's see. Let's wrap this up. I got a little shout out, Maury. I got to give a shout out to GoTrack scooters. So I've been trying to simplify my life and have more reliable, transport at the track.
Yep.
I bought two GoTrax scooters. One for my wife. It was pink. I paid like $50 extra for it, which was ridiculous, but that's fine. And one for myself. And they're like, I don't know what, they're probably like 350s or something. I don't know what that means. Maybe that's the watts. I don't know. And
Cubic inches.
yeah, mine quit working and just wouldn't turn on. But there's really like these things are very modular.
Yeah.
Like it's battery or it's the control module, which is basically just the handlebars. And so I don't know. I get on Reddit, people complaining about it, but some people are just like, well, just call them, just call them. Okay. So I sent an email to this random company, GoTrax, and I'm like, look, this thing doesn't work. It's been like 6 months, won't turn on. Here's videos of it. And we went back and forth a few, and they sent me like the whole handlebar assembly, 2 screws, plug that thing in, bada bing, bada boom, like new. So shout
Awesome.
out to GoTrack support for making my broken scooter new again. And yeah, so
Deep,
a good experience.
Debrokenizing it.
Yeah, debrokenizing it. So now Alyssa and
With,
I have matching scooters again.
except hers is pink.
Except for
So was that one of those examples of Alyssa, I'll just get you the pink scooter. No, I'll get, and then your bluff got called.
no, that's kind of like more of the like that's not an empty offer thing. That's more just like me trying to like pink wash motorsports to get my wife to get involved. I actually like similar story. Last year I think we heard this story. I bought my wife a pink helmet, thinking that I could get her into autocross and we would go autocross her Acura because I really wanted to do that. And it didn't come to fruition. So I actually recently gave that pink helmet to my coworker who's gotten very competitive in the rental kart races at Andretti.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and her son is going out there a lot as well. And so I knew that she thought she would be really cool if she brought her own helmet to the track. And I was like, well, here, I don't want to deal with I don't want to deal with somebody on Facebook Marketplace for less than $200, honestly. So like I'm just gonna throw away this pink helmet for lack of interest. So why don't you just have it? And yeah, she was very excited, and now she gets compliments on her helmet at the racetrack. So
That's awesome.
reduce, reuse, recycle.
That's right. I've got to throw a little more. Another stray at a Facebook Marketplace. I've actually returned to using eBay
Okay,
to sell things.
Wow.
Somewhere along the way, it used to be like on eBay when you tried to sell something, it was either an auction or you could buy it now. But if it was a buy it now, it was only like for 7 days, right? Like if it didn't sell, it was coming back down. Now they've gone to like an unlimited. It'll just stay up.
Okay.
So like I've got some like used parts
Yeah.
that are valuable to someone, and I don't want to deal with any of the marketplace crap, right?
Yeah.
Like that's terrible. But I'll put it up on eBay, like $100, buy it now.
Yeah.
It'll just linger until somebody does, or I take it down.
Take it or leave
Get
it.
an email like, hey, somebody bought your thing. Okay, great, fantastic. This is exactly what we want. Like, low interaction. I don't want somebody try to chisel me down on my whatever it is, brake pads or whatever.
Yeah. Hundo P. Well, good stuff. Well, any other shout outs to wrap this up, Maury?
I will, except for Matt Murphy. I'll shout out to Matt Murphy for texting me earlier today or yesterday maybe and saying, hey, you want to throw up a pod? I was like, yeah, let's do that. And, Road America, great track. Can't wait to go back. Despite, a suboptimal racing experience for me this couple weekends ago. Had a great time. Beautiful track. Fantastic facility. Friendly people. Nice ball caps.
Okay. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Mulry. Yeah, shout out to Pat Mulry for always being available for the podcasting and
For having an unencumbered evening, weekend, or weekly evening social schedule.
that's right. Yeah, shout out Go Track Support and Deechworks, who I'm sure that's not how it's pronounced. And yeah, my wife NASA Pro Racing going to be out there October 10th at Crescent. So looking forward to that engagement.
Yes.
And yeah, check us out, racershq.com, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, just
MySpace.
boatloads of content. MySpace. Yeah. Yammer. Yeah.
Tumblr. Is Tumblr still a thing?
Sure. Tumblr. I'm sure MySpace bought Tumblr, and then Yammer probably bought MySpace, and
rolled them both into Yahoo groups.
Yeah. It's going to be great. So the singularity of social media will be wonderful.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, I think Oracle bought TikTok today. You know.
Oh, did they? That's finally what happened to it. Well, good. Just before the asteroid hits us all.
That's right. Like and subscribe, rate and review. We are going to see you at the track. Bye,
Good night,
everybody.
America.